So Anthony Davis has been composing new, cutting-edge and socially conscious opera and symphonic music for decades. His operas include X, The Life and Times of Malcolm X, Amistad, and his most recent Pulitzer Prize-winning opera, The Central Park Five, just to name a few. Anthony is also a world-class jazz pianist and educator, a professor at our own UCSD. Quincy Troupe is an award-winning author of 10 volumes of poetry, 3 children's books, and 6 nonfiction works, including Miles, the autobiography of Miles Davis, and his memoir, Miles and Me, soon to become a major motion picture, just to name a few. Quincy Troupe is a professor emeritus of the University of California, San Diego. We could go on and on. Anthony and Quincy, thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so my first question, what are you currently working on during this time of pandemic?
Who you want to go first?
Sure, you, Quincy.
You had Quincy. That's cool.
Okay. I just finished a large book of poems it's about between 600 and 700 pages.
Whoa.
And, it's titled Duende Poems 1966-Now.
Wow.
And it'll come out in hardback and paperback next March from 7 Stories Press here in New York. And I'm finishing up this memoir of mine. 7 Stories Press is going to do that in the fall of 2021. It's called The Accordion Years, and it's in 11 parts. And it's about me, my road to becoming a writer. That's all it's about. But how I became a writer and why I became a writer, and all of that. And then I have a novel, The Footmans, that I've been working on for 125 years, but I'm halfway through it now, and it's called The Legacy of Charlie Footman, and it's about this guy. And then the movie on my book Miles and Me it was supposed to come out. It was supposed to start shooting in March of this year, and and because of COVID, it didn't, and so now it's going to start shooting in September, and that's supposed to come out next year also. So that's it in a nutshell.
Busy.
Your nutshell's a pretty big nut. It's wonderful.
I'm trying to stay out of my wife's way because if I'm sitting in here, we both going crazy, you know.
Yeah.
We hear that.
Hear that.
How about you, Anthony? What's going on with you?
Well, a number of projects I have going. I just finished a piece that for 4 singers and it also can be done by a choir called we call the roll that is kind of a Black Lives Matter anthem that's going to be performed in Minneapolis and St. Paul. I think now the date is October 18th, and it'll be kind of a virtual performance. And then it's supposed to be performed the year anniversary of George Floyd's death in Minneapolis.
Wow.
Excellent.
So now I was excited to work, and I worked on that this summer. And then right now I have a workshop going on at Syracuse University. I have a music theater piece I've worked on for, again, a million years, I guess must be 10 or 15 years now, called Shimmer. That's about the McCarthy era, you know,
wow.
and that's they're rehearsing it now and doing a workshop at Syracuse, and that's with working with Michael Corey, who's writing the lyrics, and it's based on a Sarah Schulman novel. And then I have they're doing a production of Lilith in San Francisco.
Oh, great.
In April. So I've been going through Lilith, kind of revising that, making sure that the piano vocal score matches the orchestra score, which is always an adventure. And then the third thing is there's going to be a revival of X in 2022.
Oh.
And so I've been working on doing that as a 2-act opera with Michigan Opera Theater, and that will go to hopefully go to Berlin and other places. So
Oh,
I'm very excited
Wonderful.
about that. So
Excellent news.
and Central Park 5 is going to be done at New York City Opera.
oh,
Yeah,
yay.
either
Excellent.
Central Park or Bryant Park. Hopefully in Central Park. So that should be
Central Park. Yeah,
Oh.
that
So
would
they're
be
going to do it as an outdoor performance
yeah, kind of semi-stage performance with New York City Opera.
in
And
the park, which is just,
hopefully we'll do a recording after that too. Do a recording of the opera too as well.
do you think a lot of the original cast will come back for that, or?
As much as possible. I think there are going to be some New York people too, where there are so many great artists, you know.
Oh, sure, of course. Yeah.
So,
Wonderful.
yeah, I think the only complication with my original cast, a lot of them are in George's opera, and they're doing that at Long Beach at the
Oh.
same time, which is funny. So I hope I can see George's opera when he comes out here.
Right, sure. Well,
so, go ahead.
go ahead. Well, I was just going to ask, this project of ours has been a long time in the percolating phase, and now we're coming up to the real creative part of this. And we're just wondering how you first became involved with Bodhi Tree Concerts, and what drew you to want to do this socially conscious children's opera.
Well, I guess I could talk first.
Yeah, you talk first.
Yeah, well, actually, it was funny because I was looking for a children's book, and this idea of I wanted to do an opera that was on the surface about for children, sort of like the way Peter and the Wolf is, or or as something, but also or Animal Farm,
Sure.
so this idea of this children's story framing something that's quite serious. Of course, the issues of the border are very serious, and my friend Margot Sharp said her favorite children's story was this book, Pancho Rabbit and the Coyote. So she lent me the book. I read it and I said, "Oh yeah, I think we could do something with that." And using that as the frame for an opera about all the issues of the border, and so I thought it was really relevant, and I with what's going on with the detainees and our relationship to the neighbors in Tijuana and Mexico. So I thought that was appropriate. And when you guys asked me about doing an opera, maybe something that could be geared toward children, I thought this would be a great idea for it.
Well, we loved the book when you brought it to our attention, and I think we've been probably the largest purchaser of volumes from the publisher ever since. It's really a beautifully written and illustrated children's book with such a powerful, timely story, and we're grateful for that. Dinah, if you want to continue.
Just you guys have been collaborators in the past. Do you want to talk about how you work together, what you've done together, and how you plan to attack this project?
I'll start out by saying, it's always been a thrill for me to work with Anthony, because I always work with a lot of musicians with my poetry, and just a whole bunch of really great musicians: Julius Hemphill, Hamid Blewett, Kelvin Bell, Anthony, David Murray, Donnell Fox, the pianist. And so I've done a lot of concerts with them. And so it's something that I love to do. I love to work with musicians, because you have to get outside yourself. As a poet who I read all over, by myself. And so it's just me reading the poems, sometimes getting outside myself and performing them in a way, But with musicians, it's a different kind of performance, because I find myself, when I'm working with musicians, I leave out whole stanzas. I leave out whole stanzas, and I repeat lines, and I see myself as a saxophone. I see myself as a saxophone. Sometimes I see myself as a guitar, because I love Jimi Hendrix. And so I start riffing off the words and off the phrases and off the stanzas, and off rhythms. And so for me, that's exhilarating. It's just an exhilarating kind of experience for me as an artist, And so so when we were talking about this book, he said, "Oh, I got this. I'd like for you to do this book with me." And I mean, as an opera, I said, "What is it?" He said, "Pancho Rabbit and the Coyote." Well, I had never heard of it, A Migrant's Tale. So I got the book and I started reading it. At first, I was a little puzzled at first, like, what am I supposed to do with this? You know, you have to let it germinate in your head, because it's not coming from me, it's coming from this book. And so I would read it, and now I've read it about 10 times, so I'm starting, it's all in my head now, in my head now where it should be. And then I'm thinking, how am I going to approach this? How am I going to approach this creatively? And I'm sure, as Anthony and I start talking about it, he talks about when he starts talking about the music, because it has to be a collaboration. It has to be a collaboration. It has to be an opera. He's a musician, and I guess I'm what you would call writing the libretto, the lyrics. Mm-hmm. So, I'm waiting to do this. I've been waiting to do it for a while because we started talking about it a while back, mm-hmm. And so now, since I've kind of cleared my desk of a lot of projects, that big book of poems is gone. So it's hard for me to think about writing another poetry or a lyric when I'm writing poetry, So now I'm not writing it, I'm not writing any more poems. So I've cleared my head of that. And so now I'm thinking about how I'm going to deal with this.
So now is the time. That's right.
I've been thinking about it. Yeah.
Well, and I have to add here, every time I've heard you perform or recite your own poetry, you are a musician using words and language and sounds as your musical vocabulary. So you're as much a musician as anyone I've heard perform on a stage. So it's really, really so lyrical and full of all those musical idioms. So I see no problem making this relationship work. Yeah.
I have to tell you one little funny story, and just right. It's unrelated, but Miles Davis, I wrote his books with him, and I got to be good friends with him. Yeah. And he says, I talked him into. I said, so look, man, why don't we do this performance together sometime? You play and I read and all that. He says, what am I supposed to fucking play? I said, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll give you my book and I'll give you these books and you can decide, So you decide what you want to do. And so I gave them to him. And he says, God damn, I don't like poetry shit, but this shit is out. This shit is out. And this shit is out. So he says, I don't know. I don't see what I can do. So he started doing some things, and then he died. And then he died. So I got this funny thing. When I went out to his grave to see him, I would go out to his grave to see him, and and I said, get up out of that stone. He's in the crypt. Get up out of that goddamn stone, that crypt, man. Shit. Come out here and do this fucking music. What's wrong with you, man? I made it into a joke. And then I swear I almost heard his voice say, get him off my fucking grave. You're out here disturbing the peace.
That's funny.
Oh,
I would have been amazing to hear, man.
Huh?
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed performing with Quincy. It was when I remember doing a thing at USG and something at the museum here, the Sherwood, and we've done a lot of different things, and it's always really exciting. And I've always loved his poetry too. And we've worked together on certain other projects already. We did this piece, Restless Morning. I remember the day of the 9/11. Yeah. And I went to Quincy's house, and because we're like people who have lived in New York a long time. Like for us, it was like this. We kind of wanted to get together. We wanted to be together. So that was the thing. So I was at Quincy's, and we're talking about it. He was already writing a poem. He had written a poem, this poem, Emergency 9/11, and I said, and I had supposed to do this commission for Carolina Chamber Chorale, and it was supposed to be about the Confederate flag and this issue in South Carolina about trying to get rid of the flag and all this stuff. But then they called me up, well, after that happened, said, well, would you be willing to do a piece on 9/11 instead? I said, oh, sure. Yeah, okay.
I've got
So
just the
I
poem.
went to Quincy, and I already had a lot of the words already.
There you go.
So that was fantastic, and it was a fantastic. And I've done settings of his poems too. I did
Right.
Bells, one of his poems, Sound Breaking Away.
Oh, yeah.
So I've and his poetry is so musical, and it has sound in it anyway. Sound
Absolutely.
embedded in it anyway, so that it was exciting for me to work with his words and work with and I think we have a great collaboration.
Wonderful.
For sure.
Wonderful.
Do you have any specifics you want to share about how you envision the opera in the end, or anything musical, anything? I mean, we've talked about using Spanish language. We've talked about maybe a banda. I mean, do you want to talk about those things a little bit?
Yeah, you should talk about it, and then I'll kind of.
Quincy and I had a great we had our last conversation about was fantastic. It was just and was freeing, because I wanted to free his imagination to think about all kinds of things. Even about the butterflies migration that happens. And Quincy wrote about that already in some of his poetry. So I beginning to think about the idea that the story is just the frame, and we can take it to other places.
Absolutely.
And also, that this could be kind of a magic realism moment too. These things can be things that kind of unexpected things that happen in it too. And so I'm very excited about the prospect of doing it, because I know that with his Quincy's imagination, it's going to just be a lifting off point.
Yeah, well, that's what I see. I mean, I've been reading it again, and as a matter of fact, and so I was reading it last night, and so I figured, like, now, since this book of mine is gone, this book of poems of mine is gone, I see myself starting to work on it in the next, starting to work really seriously on it in the next week or so, because for me, I have to let it settle in my head, so it's a part of my whole being in a way, and so it's settling now. It's settling now. I'll look at it again tomorrow, and and then I'll start to and then I'll start to put things down on these pad here, and that's the way I work. I work to the pad, from the pad to the typewriter, not typewriter, computer. I get the idea, I get the structure down written, I write it down. Something like this, I write it down. I love to do that, like that, to write it down and in working through it like that, listening to the rhythms of it, and then I start to do that, and then I feel myself getting into it now. Even I can feel it going into my spirit, where it has to be.
Well, and this book is filled with a lot of human spirit the spirit of survival and the spirit of family. And I'm just so excited what directions your creative imaginations are going to take it. And we look forward to that. We look forward to that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add, Anthony? Do you want to add to that?
No, I think that at this point, I mean, I'm very excited. I have to do a lot of. I'm going to have to study a lot of northern Mexican music. I mean, I think that's going to be part of this. Kind of capturing some of that music in it at times. Write some real songs in there, and so I'm excited. I'm excited about that, because a lot of times. In some of the projects I've had the good fortune of having to, kind of investigate and explore other music. Like when I did Amistad, I listened to all kinds of, Mende music and Yoruba stuff, and then also, when I do take on a project, Wakanda's Dream, for example, I had 50 tapes of Plains Indians music, from the polka to the Lakota to the, all kinds of stuff. So I collected all these Coyote calls, for that I had to. There's stuff, so you can find that I think that enriches your music, take you out of your comfort zone, a little bit.
Absolutely.
Also, doing music theater, probably did one on Elvis. So I had to, I listened to Elvis like really intently and everything that Elvis listened to.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. And I was able to, I fell in love with Hank Williams music. Okay. So I started studying that and be able to, I wrote a parody of a Hank Williams song, and then I wrote, so I started to find my way and looking at country music, which you wouldn't expect me to be, find.
Yeah.
It helped me expand my language. And then I found weird connections. I wrote this country song that was influenced by Monk. So it's like Tony Monk meets country music, which was a weird thing. It was like this. It became this other thing that I never heard before. So it was really fun to do that exploration, to realize, to look at music and different musical idioms outside of your normal practice.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's why I have so much respect for both of you. Your creative process is so brave, and you open yourself up to so much, and then what comes out is unbelievably beautiful and goes straight to the heart and just
timely. Yeah.
And very timely. Yeah.
Well, I was starting tomorrow, and the next day I'm going to start listening to Northern Mexican music, also. So for the phrasing of the poems, and I got some good friends who are poets, who are from Mexico, and so I put in calls to them, today, and so I'm going to be talking to them and also about this, about the phrasing, and that's part of my research. And then, I feel like that also can loosen up, my head,
Yeah.
I want to have a certain feel in the language, the language of Northern Mexican poetry that I know. It's kind of languid. You know what I mean? It's the pace of the way people walk and Tijuana. I've been to Tijuana many times. My dad played baseball in Mexico. He played baseball in Mexico, and I was down there with him. I was down there with him. So I'm trying to, all of that, because I got a lot of his music here. Because he liked that music too.
Sure.
I thought he was crazy. When I was growing up, he would be playing this music, that and Cuban music and music from Puerto Rico. Sure. And he'd be doing the dances around. I remember all that now, but at the time I thought, what is he doing? What is that weird music he's playing? You know what I mean? So, but so it's good for that. It's good. So I've been reading these poets from Northern Mexico that I got in my collection over here.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that's similar for me. And I had engagement when I did. I was working on this opera about the Cuban Revolution, so I have worked a lot with Cuban musicians.
Mm-hmm.
So and Cuba intersects with Mexico so much. The Prado Orchestra and all these things. Mm-hmm. So it's very so it's really exciting to me to explore more of the Northern Mexico music, and I remember Mingus's engagement with, with Tijuana, his Tijuana roots, and he spent some time in Tijuana and North Mexico. He was right near the border, so that Mingus connection I would think about too.
That's
cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, and we, our friends at Tijuana Opera are very great collaborators already with Bodhi Tree Concerts, and they're on board with however they can help or consult or anything. And they're amazing people down there. So.
And the arts and singing and the voice and music is just such a part of their natural way of being. They just seem to embody music and singing much more organically in their culture than we do. We sort of put it on somehow or learn it, but they just come out living it and doing it. And it's always, I'm always humbled when I go down there and I just see how everyone is musical and loves it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had some Mexican students I work with, and well, one in particular, I worked on a project, and he was writing an opera about the Black Widow of Tijuana, you know, and so I was a mentor for him, so I'm going to talk to him a little bit too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have one more question on my list. And it's just when we think about in the future to the ultimately when we premiere the opera, what do you hope audiences will get out of seeing it? What do you hope the participants, the children and adults performing, and the audiences will get out of this ultimate children's opera that will be created?
Wow. Well, I just hope for my part, I hope I'm able to convey in my words and what I'm doing, element of authenticity, you know, that they can get into, that they can get into. I've learned, you know, I've been going for, my wife runs a project called the Glossa Art Project, because my wife is from Mississippi. And so we go to Mississippi, a little town, Gloucester, every July, except this past July, we had to do it like on Zoom.
Yeah.
And so we go down there, and she has about 50 kids, and I teach poetry. And then Kelvin Bell teaches, you know, and we got all kind of people that go down there, Ronnie Barrage, all kind of people, and go down, and these kids have absorbed all this stuff. And so it's a wonderful feeling to go down and teach kids who never thought about ever writing a poem in their life, you know, who never thought about it. And then they're writing like 12 poems, you know, they're running up with these poems. So I just wanted to be authentic. And then they had, at the end of the project, they all do readings. They do their readings. They do readings with the musicians. And so it's a wonderful kind of thing. So when I said that when this is all over, I want it to be, I have to scale down my language because it's for children, one thing. You know, I have to bring it down some, you know, and find a simple way to do it, you know, that kind of communicates with them instead of, you know, these real heavy metaphors, you know, that, that don't work, you know, so it's not going to work. So I want it to be simple, but at the same time, deep, and it echoes and it's authentic, you know, that they can get it because it's kids. It's for kids in a way. And so I've been thinking about that too. I've been thinking about that, and and that music, I can hear it in my head because, like I said, I went to Tijuana so many times, and I can hear that the brass, the trumpets, and music, and you know, the dancing and the food, and all the time. You know, my wife and I used to go down there. We had really great friends, so I wanted to echo my words and the rhythms to echo that, you know. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, that's a similar thing for me too. I mean, this idea also of because children's opera is such a great entry point for you know, taking them other places and you know, taking it from something that on the surface can also be fun, you know, really fun.
Exactly.
Really entertaining, but at the same time, it's telling a story that has deep resonance in what's happening now, which is, you know, in the relationship to Mexico and the border and the wall and all that stuff. I think that's so important, and so in a way, that's a sucker punch kind of thing. but I'm very excited about it because I think that part of opera too is that we have to. In a way, we create something alluring that allows people to sort of lose their you know, their guardedness toward and stuff. So that idea to open people up to something and to a deeper understanding of the border and what's going on.
to come out changed, to come out with a wider view. I mean, why else do we do what we do, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's ambitious, but what I'm looking forward to experiencing, because I think you two could not be better suited to this project and this work. So here is to Pancho Rabbit and the Coyote, coming to theaters near you soon. Any closing words, Diana?
I just want to thank you both so much for taking time with us today.
Yes.
We're so honored and incredibly grateful that you signed on for this project. I mean, we couldn't imagine anybody better.
Absolutely.
And with the San Diego connection and the amazing work you've done in your past, and to work with Bodhi Tree Concerts, you know, we're grassroots, but we have high goals. And thank you for joining us on this journey.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You
It's
know,
a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Yeah, take care of each other, take care of yourselves,
Great. Well, thank you.
and vote.
Vote, right.
Oh, vote. All right.
All right, take care,
All right.
everyone. Have a good
Thank you.
afternoon.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Thank you.